in St. Anthony in Minneapolis, but there was a fire, and so a lot of his school records, anything like that was burned. So we had a tough time finding some records for Dad.
Oh yeah, he had to walk across that Broadway Bridge
Yes, he
to
did.
go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he went to St. Anthony.
St. Anthony
Yes,
School.
school.
Yep.
Yeah, and he had to walk across that bridge to go to school. That was tough
Yeah,
in the winter time.
because I know I have his communion picture at home with his
Yeah.
high top shoes and his ribbon on his arm, and so typical. But I don't remember an awful lot about his growing up. You know, I don't think
Well,
he
we
talked
don't
to
remember that much about our mother growing up, really.
Well, Mother told a lot more stories because of her stepbrothers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think she, and then of course her brothers went into World War II. You know, George and
Uncle
and
Mike.
Mitchie. Yeah, so they were in the war.
Yeah.
In the well, Uncle Mikey was okay, but Uncle George was in the thick of it in the Philippine Islands.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah, he
He
was.
was really
Yeah.
in the heart of the war.
Yes, and so was her sister Josie's husband,
Uncle
Voigt.
Boyd.
Yeah, he was too. He was in Germany. So, but I don't know where else you want to go with this.
Mm-mm.
Oh, we got one thing we used to do when we were kids. We had plays. We would dress up, and we used to have plays all the time.
Oh yeah, that's important.
Dad had a garage that he had built. He had a couple of them that he built, but they had doors that, we didn't have blacktop, we had dirt. And you used to pull these metal spikes out and open up the double garage doors
Yeah.
and then drop them down. Those were our stage doors, and we were in the garage. And
Dad's invention.
and we
to
used to
hold the
get
doors
dressed up,
open.
and we used to sing. Oh, little playmates, come out and play with me, and bring your dollies free. Climb up my apple tree, slide down my rain barrel, slide down my cellar door, and we'll be jolly friends forevermore.
So it was our theme song.
Yeah, and then there's one more verse,
Yeah,
but
there
that's
is. I cannot
to
play with
with
you.
you. My dolly has the flu. Boo hoo 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 hoo.
Oh,
I cannot play with you. I have no rain barrel. I have no cellar door. But we'll be jolly friends forevermore. Those were our
we
famous
always did
songs.
plays.
And we
With
did
the
that.
Xanax.
Always.
But the Zelnex, Bobby's.
Bobby.
When Molly turned 60, we went over there.
Yes.
And,
Oh yes,
and we made our stage.
the three
and,
of us had tap shoes and
we had
old
dresses.
bridesmaid gowns that never buttoned
And when
anymore.
we opened Molly's beautiful doors, and there we three were singing this song, and Bob Zelneck says, "I remember sitting through more of this."
More of those plays. You know, we all wanted to be in the play, so there was no audience. So we'd have to go drag all these boys out of the house.
Yeah.
Back then, too, you have to realize we did not have television.
We
So
had to entertain ourselves.
we had to entertain ourselves.
Yeah.
And believe me, our mother was the last person to get a television set. Everybody else used to have them before Mom and Dad because she didn't want to spend the money on it. But I remember when Zelnex got their TV set and Cowboys, we had one station, Channel 5, KSTP.
Always westerns.
And it was always westerns. And
Yeah.
we would be playing outside, and then Dickie would say, I gotta go in now because I'm gonna watch Roy Rogers. And I thought, I don't have a television.
Mother got a television set. Let's see, we were married in 1950, and Mother got a television set just about that time because we went over and Rick and I went over and watched TV a little bit. But Rick and I got one probably the following year.
Yes,
I probably had one
Big
by
console.
1951.
Yeah.
When they did get a television, they got a hunkin' nice television that
Yes.
with that phonograph
TV,
attached. Ooh, it was ooh la la, cat's meow. Oh,
Right.
And a picture this big.
yes. And you could not just plug it in and turn it on. You had to wait until the repairman came out to approve it and plug it in and make sure everything was working right. Because I remember the day it was delivered and I thought, it's here and I can't watch it. And I remember sitting on the sofa by the front window and thinking, well, if anybody drives by and sees me, they're going to think I'm watching my television.
No, growing up we had just the radio with Jack Armstrong
Yeah.
and Captain Midnight.
The Barbie Ranch was on at 5 o'clock, right at supper time.
Yes, we did that.
We did a lot of
We
radio.
did the plays and we did a lot of parades. Do you remember
Lot of
doing a lot of
parades.
parades?
Lot of parades.
We always
And
were
we
pulling-
practiced for Halloween. Molly and I just talked about it on the phone. We used to dress up a couple nights before and go around the block and practice. We only had one house to go to.
We
There
had
weren't any-
there were many houses where we lived.
We
It was
knew that we
industry.
would go to, what were they upstairs by Mrs. Buck?
Mrs. Treadle.
Treadle.
Mrs. Treadle.
Oh, we have to go to Mrs. Treadle.
Because she
God
gave out
knows
the
she-
best candy.
And Mrs. Duran, Daryl's mother, too, gave out nickel candy bars.
I know it. Well, you know what? They didn't have very many kids to give it to.
No.
There were so few houses for us to go to.
Yes, we laughed. Molly and
We
I
did.
just, she
I
says,
know.
yeah, we might have to go practice, Mar. It was funny. It was good times growing up. It was.
Yeah.
Were there any times that any of you got into trouble that you remember?
No, we were good kids.
A little bit I did with Jim Zelenak, and Mom must have went on Broadway or something, and so she left me in the care of Stella. And Jim and I decided, I don't know what, I don't remember leading up to it at all, but we had started a fire on the back step. And Stella came over just in the nick of time before anything bad happened.
Because it was scorched already.
Yeah, it was, and I don't remember leading up to that, how that took place. If it was Jim's fault or my fault, but it was the two of us. And then I remember that night Dad taking us to a fire. There was a fire somewhere, and he said, see, this is what's going to happen to our house. But that's the only, it wasn't even
No,
like I was
really.
scolded
I
a
did
lot.
that.
Well, Mother and Dad liked me best, see.
Yeah.
I didn't really get scolded a lot.
Yeah.
She got the chili.
Yeah.
I got the stewed tomatoes.
I got just tomatoes.
Yeah, I know it. So so I don't really remember being scolded a lot for it, but
No, Mom.
but it's something that sticks in my memory.
And I did that same thing. Stella was
Yeah.
watching me while Mama took the bus downtown. Boy, Stella wasn't a very good babysitter, was she? Because I remember we were having a wedding and we were dressing up, and it was Dickie, Daryl, Kathy, and I, and we were going to have this wedding. And then we thought, well, when you have weddings, then you have ice cream and cake. You know, we remembered that, so we thought, well, we have to go to Cabby's and get some ice cream and cake. How are we going to get money to buy this? So we took the window off the basement, and we shimmied through the basement
At
to
Mama's?
get at Mama's
Mhm.
to get downstairs
Yeah.
underneath the stairs, and that's where they kept their empty pop bottles.
Yes, they did.
And we were going to go cash in pop bottles to get the money so we could buy some ice cream for this pretend wedding that we were having. So I remember we're shoving, you remember the wooden stools Daddy had made with
Yep.
the brown leather
Oh,
seats?
yes.
And now we couldn't get back out the window. Never thought of going out the kitchen door. We thought, well, we came in this way, we gotta go out this way.
Oh.
So we put the stool in front of the window, and we're passing all these pop bottles out so we could go to Carrie's and get this ice cream. And then we crawled out the window and put the window back and went and bought the ice cream, came home, and Mother came home from shopping. She says, you were in this house. I thought, how do you know I was in this house? And she said, now I figure Stella watched us, and Stella snitched because my mother wasn't that bright. And she said, there's a stool in front of this window, and all the cobwebs are gone from the window. Well, you know she wouldn't have known that, so I figure Stella must have told her the kids were in there, but I don't know what they were doing, Jenny. But we were getting pop bottles to cash in.
Nothing too big.
Yeah,
We didn't
no,
get
that
into
was
too
our
much,
big
yeah.
thing, and that
No.
was our trouble.
No,
We
yeah.
were good kids. We really didn't get into trouble.
And then when I decided to get married, I think Mother was elated. Go.
Well, Marlene,
You got 2 more kids here. Go.
well, how old were you when you met Ricky then?
I was 15.
And what did your parents and your sisters think when you brought Rick home when they met him for the first time?
Well, she was scared of him, and
Oh,
I
I
didn't
wouldn't
know
go
what
to the
Ronnie-
I wouldn't go in the yard. I wouldn't do anything. We came
No,
home from the
I-
show one Sunday afternoon, and I seen his car there, and I wouldn't go home. I wouldn't go.
I don't know what made her so
I don't know.
afraid of Rick. I don't remember
Well,
ever.
he scares kids to this day.
Yes, he does. He was always the Gestapo.
Yeah,
He's a
he-
joker, you know.
But really, I don't ever remember not liking Rick.
Yeah.
He was always a
It
fun
wasn't that I
person.
didn't like him. I was
He
just
still
afraid
is.
of him.
Yeah.
He was always, he would sit in the living room and he would always have keys in his hands and his legs were always moving.
Did you see him at church for the Polish dancers? I mean, he's sitting there, still does the same thing.
Yeah.
He's in church and his knee is going, and I
Yeah.
thought,
Yeah, that's what he did. He always did that. He did that when he'd
And
come
I don't
from.
remember Lenny, but my Lynn kind of remembered when Barbara.
I met him at the ice skating pond when I was in 11th grade.
Right on 29th and
Right at Fairview Park.
at Fairview Park.
He took the most beautiful fall I've ever seen. And I laughed.
Well, see, and I don't remember Ronnie when she really. Well, I remember you started going with Dick. I think you met him at the Ascension Bowling Alley. He was from the neighborhood.
Yes,
was
Dick,
Ron.
Dick only lived about 3 blocks.
And it's at Lenny.
Laurie and 2nd Street. And so that was really close. But you know what? In the growing up years, he had his friends on that side.
Of Lori.
Yeah.
He used to come over to the Zelnick's though. Because I do remember that's
maybe
where I
once
first
or
seen him.
twice.
Yeah, that's where I
But
first seen him.
that was not his clan.
No,
The Zelnicks were not his clan.
no, they weren't.
He hung out more with the Yurks
Yeah.
and
Rosak.
Rosax, yeah,
Yeah.
always on that
And
side.
he had the nicest car. He had the greatest 56 Chevy.
Yeah, he had a nice car,
turquoise
yeah.
and white. Great car.
Yeah, well, he had a very sandy color convertible. He had a convertible, and that was a cool car too.
But he
How
was
old were you
raised
when
by
you
his
met?
grandma.
Well, you know what? I'm trying to think. I was out of high school. When did I first meet Dick? Meet him. I have to go back a little ways. I just not
Well, I
really
was
sure.
married.
Yeah, it was really pretty much
Oh,
out
yeah, no, because I was
pretty much out of high school though.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, because it was down at the Ascension Bowling Alley, really though, where I met Dick. Because one year they were having a New Year's Eve party. The guys were planning this New Year's Eve party, and Tom Schroeder didn't have a date. So guess who was Tom Schroeder's date? Me. I know. Says
We have to
no,
watch
said-
what we're saying. We're on tape here. Oh, he had a bad vice. We'll never discuss it.
I know we just talked about it the other day, but anyway.
It wasn't so bad picking
Well, you know
what you did with it.
Well, you know what? It was the group. And I probably would much rather have been with Dick. He had a date, I don't know who his date was. And so that was, it was at Bob Merz's house, I think, that we went. And I don't know if it was right shortly after that. And so I would say I was pretty much right out of high school. And he was a bowler, and I was a bowler, and we did a lot of that together. Mostly down at the Ascension.
With the pin setters, they weren't automatic.
No.
There was a guy,
Yeah.
a kid back there that when the pins
Yeah.
got knocked down, they put them in a rack and then lowered it down.
I'm
And
just trying to think of my very first date, and it might have been, I went on a wiener roast with Dick, and it was Wally and Jill. That was his group of high school friends. Schroeder and Shinix and all of them were his bowling friends. But his high school friends really were Bob and Lois and Wally and Jill and that group. And they were having a wiener roast up there by Highway 100 and 81.
mm-hmm. Right where the fireplace
Yeah,
is.
and I went with Dick on that wiener roast, and that almost to me seems like that was one of our first dates, was on that wiener roast. And
But I remember
I'll
when
tell
you were
when
sitting at home that I didn't like it, and you were wondering how come he didn't call. Why didn't he call? And I remember Rick and I driving by the Ascension and seeing his car. He said, "Well, he's here at the bowling alley." I remember,
Well, you
I was
know
fine for you.
Well, I was going to say something, I can't remember now, I lost my train of thought. No, I can't remember.
Because you went with him for a while.
We did go together for a while because
We
he
did
did
go
got
to
called into the
service.
service. I had a big party for him at our parents' house for him when he was going into the service. And I remember I bought him a movie camera. And so he took film. We only could take a half hour's worth or an hour's worth, and he'd send it back to us to see if it was any good, to see if it turned out or not. And so that's what he did. And of course he was in, I forget where he went first, but then he ended up in Hawaii for 20 months. And when he was in Hawaii, I kept dating. And I didn't date right away, I don't think. But I started dating Ray.
Mhm.
He was also a bowler. And we had a lot of fun. He was like Mom and Dad were thrilled because he was a Polish kid.
Oh, yeah, oh, yes.
From Northeast. And he loved to dance and sing and fun. And but then when Dick found out about Ray and I, he was having a hard time in Hawaii, and the phone calls kept coming
I
back and
remember
forth.
that.
Yeah, and so then I had to make a choice. But I always said that. I said love won out. Love won out at the time. So that was.
Ray still asks about her. I see him in church
Yeah,
all
he's
the
always
time.
in church. He never did get married. He never did get married.
Yeah, Midland, wasn't it?
Yeah, he never did get married, but he has lived with somebody I think about 15 years older
Yeah.
than him
Mhm.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Many
He comes to church in bedroom slippers once in a while. I don't think that's too cool.
Yeah, but
In what, bedroom slippers?
Yes.
good thing I didn't marry him.
But he always comes to church.
Yeah, I know.
I don't see him all the time.
What did your mom and dad think of your boyfriends or your husbands when they first met
Mother
them?
insisted on Maryland. Insisted, and you take good care of him. He was a Polish Catholic boy.
Yeah, Mom was fine with it too. I think she got really, really upset when our guys had to have jobs. I mean, that was important to her. And when Greg, my first one, Greg was born, he was born in December. Rick quit his job in January. I mean, and it was like, and that bothered Mom terribly. But he quit the truck driving job to go to a better job, and so then he stayed at Roberts Hamilton till he retired. But I remember how much that bothered her terribly.
Well, it was
That was-
security.
Yeah, it was security.
Yeah.
That was important to her.
And I don't know
Very much.
I don't know how much Mom and Dad accepted Dick because we were getting older, and my mom wanted me to be married.
When you were younger?
Pardon me?
But when you were younger, she wanted you to be married, or?
Yes.
Well, she was already past 21, and see, that was
Yeah,
that was a
and
cutoff.
Yeah.
And see, that's right, and it was bothering my mother terribly that I was perfectly content. I was having fun.
Living at
Yeah,
home.
she was.
Driving your dad's car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dating.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I really was. I have.
She had one guy that was really great looking. That dark hair one. Was his name Wally?
I don't know.
No.
Oh, no, not that one. She had a lot of that.
No, but I did. I tell you, my sisters were married very young. And because I wasn't married so young, I felt like I had a little bit more fun than they did.
I liked her being at home the whole time because
And I was
I
mad
could use
when-
her Kotex. Mother would never buy any. She bought them. I said, "Can I have some?" Oh, I loved her being at home. I didn't want her to ever get married until
And I was
did.
mad because she stopped calling me sister and I had to call her. She called me Marlene and I didn't like that. Up until then she always called me sister. We were little, but that bothered me. I know,
yeah.
some of those things
Yeah.
you remember,
Yeah, so
But I don't-
so it took us quite a while before we got married. Like I say, I think I was 24 and Dick was 25. I don't know, I might be off by a year, but in those days, it was old. And then, my goodness, you had to have a baby right away besides.
Oh, I
Yes.
know. My goodness.
Now you had to have a baby if you weren't pregnant in the first few
First
months.
couple of
Yeah.
months.
But anyway, that was,
That's what you
that's
do.
probably why
But
it
I
bothered
didn't.
Mom and Dad about
Yeah.
Dick. Because he was dragging his feet. Well, he was in the service though.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was home.
And then he was gone for the Korean War, too.
Well, that was right after. No, that wasn't Korean. It was the Cuban crisis, it was called.
Because he was
And
gone.
we were married for 6 months to the day when he had to go back into
That
the
we
service.
call.
Then I was a surrogate father for Patty.
Yeah.
I went to the hospital with her when she was in labor.
Should we move on to our now married and having children?
Sure. Or was there anything else you went high school or
High
school or
school.
anything like that?
Hated it.
High school wasn't really.
It was my social place, but I hated
It
school.
wasn't.
Where did you go to high school?
Vocational.
North.
And North also.
I graduated in '60.
Yeah, 54 for me.
I graduated in 50.
I liked school.
I did too.
But I didn't participate in a lot at school, which if I ever have my life to live over again, now it doesn't matter. But in years out of high school, because I did have a lot of fun once I got out of high school, I dated, I had more fun. When I was in high school, I never dated at all. I don't remember having any dates in high school. I never went to a school dance, and there were plenty of them, and I had friends, I had girlfriends. I didn't have boyfriends. I had no boyfriends. I was afraid of them probably more than anything. You'd always have your crushes, you know, secret crushes, but I didn't go. If I would have ever go back, I would love to have gone to more dances and
Oh, I'd have kissed a lot more boys too.
join more clubs. I would like to have joined more clubs because after high school, I mean, I bowled and I was really quite active. I softball was all sports stuff, but even with bowling, I became a league secretary, and it didn't bother me to
You were a
talk in
late
front
bloomer.
of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in high school, I was so shy and hard for me to get in.
Well, and high school was so different than it is today. Because when we were in high school, first of all, you could not wear slacks in school. Girls had to wear dresses. That was mandatory.
Yeah.
You could not wear slacks. Maybe on a football day, they would let you wear slacks for that day because you were going to a football game. But otherwise, we had to wear slacks all the time. Girls could not, dresses. Girls could not letter in sports. There were no sports for girls in high school. We were allowed to do participation things like you could referee a game or something like that, but it was all boys. Everything was geared around boys, so there wasn't that much. We did a little bit more in high school. They had like little basketball and that, but nothing. No,
But
the girls.
you did during gym in
During
school.
gym, but I mean the boys were the ones that could letter, and we had a special auditorium where they all get their letters, and that girls were not allowed to do that kind of stuff.
No.
We went when we were in.
We
school.
did have most athletic as a senior. And in all honesty, I was hoping for that. Sandy Wilkinson, my friend, she was a black girl, and she was my special friend. She was chosen as the most athletic. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember Sandy.
Yeah, but you know, they had best dancers and most studious and most athletic, and I felt like I was quite an athlete in school. I did as much as I could.
As they would let us do.
Yeah, we did badminton. It was girl things.
I was voted most intelligent.
See, well, that's something, Mark.
It's what's in the
I wasn't
yearbook.
voting anything.
Well, see, Mark, that's good. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that
It's in the
either.
yearbook.
What did
Well,
that
What
mean
it
to choose
says.
from?
It's in print.
Marlene, what did that mean to choose from?